Perhaps maybe you've not thought of furniture as a tool for social activism, but our next speaker, Wendy Mairua, is going to share that with us, and so we look forward to what she has to share with us. So please help me welcome to the stage, Wendy.
I'm a furniture maker, and I've been making furniture for the last 47 years. I just added it up. I first started making furniture because I was really interested in the idea of how furniture is made for a specific person or use. And in this case, I did research on vanity tables. Usually, because vanity tables were made for women, most of the samples that I've seen were delicate, very beautiful, very feminine, but I chose to make mine a little bold with real fat legs, kind of like me. But a good deal of my work also had to do with identity. And as an Asian American woman growing up in the United States, there are sort of a lot of perceptions of what an Asian American woman is all about. And they have preconceived notions of Asian women being very demure and feminine and quiet. So I wanted to present a woman putting on her makeup. But as she was putting more and more makeup on, she was starting to look more and more evil, kind of like a dragon lady. So in this vanity, it was inspired by a Chinese vanity that was at the Peabody Museum in Salem, Massachusetts. My family is, I'm a third-generation Japanese American. And my grandparents were first-year Japanese Americans, and they lived in California. And of course, everybody knows about Pearl Harbor and the hysteria that it caused. And a lot of Japanese Americans were forced out of their homes in 1942 due to Executive Order 9066. And my grandparents lived in Los Angeles. And if you look at this map over here, you'll see a dark line, which is the border. It's also known as the exclusion zone. So if you lived on the west side of that zone, you had to get the hell out, or you had to go to incarceration camps that were spread all over the country. And these were what the camps looked like. This is a beautiful photograph by Dorothea Long. She was a professional photographer that was hired by the War Relocation Agency to document the incarceration of Japanese Americans. And it's very ironic that a lot of her photographs were censored by the government. And many people were not able to see these photographs until much later. So, how did furniture become an advocacy tool? I thought about the idea of furniture being like a diorama. We all, as little kids, made little dioramas with shoeboxes. And I thought that the furniture form was just perfect for this kind of dialogue. You can approach a piece of furniture, you commune with it by opening the doors, and then sometimes you will find something very unexpected behind the doors. And also the sliding doors often reference traditional Japanese homes, so I wanted that connection between the Japanese aesthetic and the American experience. This is a piece that was about the questionnaire. There was a loyalty questionnaire that was given to our Japanese Americans, and it was very controversial because it was very confusing and very misleading, and it asks you if you will be willing to serve in the armed forces. And despite the fact that your entire family was incarcerated, they asked people to volunteer for the armed forces. So that's why we have what's called the Regiment 442, which is made up of all Japanese Americans that went to Italy. And of course, many people answered yes because they wanted to pledge their allegiance to the only country that they knew. About 65% of the Japanese Americans who were incarcerated were born in the U.S., did not speak Japanese, and have never been to Japan. And then if you answered no, you still had to go to camp, but you had to go to a high security camp that was called Tule Lake. And it had a prison barracks, and all the camps had prison guards, but Tule Lake was especially, the security was much tighter. This is a piece about my own grandmother. My grandmother suffered a nervous breakdown, and when they were preparing to leave their home, she broke all of the pottery that they owned, and she burned all the Japanese dolls that they had that her grandmother gave to her, because they didn't want to have any shred of Japanese identity with them anymore. So she chose to purge her, possession of our Japanese things. So this is kind of about that experience. I also started to angle the doors at different angles. Normally sliding doors are parallel with each other. But what I did is I tried to imply the sense of family discord that happened within every Japanese American family. This is a real simple but almost plain cabinet that I made. The irony is that it's made out of wood from the Thomas Jefferson estate called the Monticello. And there is a group of people who harvest trees that are fallen on heritage sites, and then people are invited to buy the wood and make a piece of furniture with the special wood. And I specifically requested the work from the Monticello because it was ironic that he is one of the founding fathers of the Declaration of Independence. So I really thought that aligning the word with the kind of statement I was trying to make kind of brought a lot of pause to thinking about who we are as Americans, who identifies as an American. All the barracks were made out of pine and tar paper and nails, so I wanted to use that material in this word, in this piece. I also had the doors completely crossing so that one door cannot pass the other at all. So again, it was about the conflicts of this whole experience. I also love animals, and I've loved animals all my life, and I was quite distressed to hear about the decimation of wildlife due to poaching and hunting, and, the insatiable greed for ivory. And so I wanted to do a series of work about wildlife advocacy. So one of the first projects I did was this full-size elephant mask, and as a small person I work in my shop by myself, so I wanted to find a way to make something really large that I can move around by myself without having to ask for help. And so I came up with the idea of making these out of very thin pieces of wood and then stitching them together so that they can be folded up in a crate and then shipped to the different destinations. I also took the project to Nepal because I wanted to raise advocacy about elephants that are used for tourism. And those of you who may know this, you don't really want to support the elephant rights industry that's in Nepal and India, because the elephants are subjected to great brutality and abuse, and they're not designed to carry tourists on their backs. So this was my mission for this piece. I also had the opportunity to work with a Nepali carver who carved part of the panels of this elephant. I went to Spilchuk and did an artist in residency with these two wonderful glass blowers, Nancy Collin and Dan Friday. And I made a series of very large tusts with their help. I also was very intrigued with the idea of death and how our culture honors the dead, particularly the European style of honoring the dead. So this is a sarcophagus, and the sarcophagus is often a body that's in a coffin. It's usually a stone coffin, but sometimes the sarcophagus is a glass coffin with the body visible. So I kind of borrowed that theme for this piece. Also, I think there's a very close relationship between furniture and coffins and shrines for the dead. This is a Buddhadan, which is a Buddhist shrine for the dead. It's made out of rifle stock. There was a gun company that was going out of business. Yay! And they had all this leftover Claro walnut that was cut into gun stock. So I had all this material. This is why all the wood is cut into thin pieces, because I was limited with the scale of the material that was available to me. And this is how a Buddhadan is used. It's more of a meditative piece that allows you to honor somebody who's dead and to think, to meditate. And in this case, this is for the elephant. An elephant is killed every 15 minutes. And so the bell that you see rings every 15 minutes. That's a lot of elephants. This piece is called cenotaph. It's usually a shrine to a dead body that's not present. It's often used in military monuments. So this one has a video embedded in it. And there's about 13 inches of glass in the crate, in the cabinet. And there's a video of a rhinoceros. In the very last frame of the rhinoceros video, you find a dying rhinoceros with their horn cut off. So it's really kind of sad. The pangolin is one of my favorite endangered animals. This is probably the most endangered animal because people think that the scales are of medicinal value. And of course, it's just keratin, which is no different than your fingernail. Well, a group of us went to Cambodia, and I know this is not really a word, but it's rattan. And we work with a bunch of local rattan artists. And this is the frame. And by the way, pangolins are found in Cambodia. And sometimes if you go down a dirt road, you'll see somebody trying to sell a pangolin. And the problem with pangolins is that they're very slow moving, and they're really easy to capture. So that is why they are rapidly becoming extinct. And I really believe that children are our only hope, and so to educate children about the future of wildlife is very important. Sorry, this is a video. And so the Cambodian children were very intrigued by this animal. They may have seen it before. This is Sylvie and Leah. They helped collaborate with me on this pangolin. And as you can see, the pangolin has a tongue that can be retracted and pulled out. The length of a pangolin tongue is longer than the length of its body. I thought that was pretty cool. And they also eat ants, which is why the pangolin has a long tongue. So, thank you very much. That's it for now. My 15 minutes.